Happy New Year. Welcome into the Sandbox in this brand new year, 2024. Excited to start this year off talking all about quitting. Yes, you heard me right. I'm talking all about quitting. Did you know, friend, that the second Friday of January is known as Quitter's Day? It's actually a thing. I know, shocking, right? I didn't know it was a thing. I heard this and I was like, wait, it's a thing? Like Quitter's Day is an actual day? I know we got National Donut Day and National, Hug a Dog Day and, all these other national days. Well, now we have a National Quitter's Day as well. And it's actually rooted in some science. It's actually rooted in some research that's been done on gym memberships. So, as well as I do, so many resolutions, New Year resolutions are all around health, right? Fitness, losing weight, getting to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm going to go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm going to go to the gym, whatever it is. I'm going to make this commitment because this is the year I'm going to get muscle. This is the year I'm going to lose that extra 40 pounds. This is the year I'm fill in the blank. Well, personally, friend, I am not a fan of New Year's resolutions. Have not been. I am not. I am around what are the behaviors and the goals. In fact, I even told the team in a meeting that we had just yesterday that, hey, y'all, I start the year out just like I ended it. And maybe I even started out a little bit slower, meaning I'm not one to go, okay, yes, it's January 2nd and we're all officially back at work now and let's hit the ground running and hit the ground running hard. No, because I didn't let up. Yes, I took time off during the holidays, but I didn't let up. My behavior is to be consistent because I know that the consistency in that behavior pattern is actually better for me, my personality type, and the growth that we're wanting to see here. So I wanted to share that with the team that I was with my team because we were having this dialogue around all the excitement and the momentum of the new year, and it's like, yes, there's excitement and there's momentum. However, behaviorally, I know what works for change to actually happen, and there is a consistency in the behavior, and there's also a mindset. And this is where Quitter's Day came up for me as kind of this, let's talk about that. What is it behind the idea that people sign up for these gym memberships, and then by the second Friday, we've now have a national day of Quitter's Day because so many of them stop going to the gym? Well, is it because they didn't believe in themselves? Is it because they thought they were going to see instant results? Is it because they're sore? Is it because, no, what is it? No, it's actually because they didn't really think about what are the behaviors that I want to change and shift so that I'm successful with the goal that I've set for myself. And they put it in this framework of my New Year's resolution is, well, how about you just say my new life goal or my commitment to self is, I'm going to, and then set the vision in your mind. I'm going to be at the gym 3 days a week because the gym makes me feel this way, and list off the things of how the gym makes you feel. List off the things of how the gym will provide for you more flexibility and strength so that you can get down on the floor and play with your grandchildren like you want to, or get out on that paddle board and start paddling every Saturday or 2 times a week, but you got to build on your core and your upper body, right? What is it that is the ultimate goal beyond just the pounds or the shape or the size that you're wanting to change? And this, I'm sharing this about Quitter's Day because it's not just about people that set goals, even the majority of resolutions in the new year are always usually around health and fitness and wellness. It's also about how are you approaching it in your world, in your management style, in your leadership style. How are you approaching these goals that you set? If you set goals for the team and say in 2024, we're going to achieve these 3 KPIs, what are the next best question to ask? And I like, what's the next best question, right? The next best question to ask yourself is, what are the behaviors that are associated with achieving those goals? If people started attaching behaviors to the goals that they set, or in today's framework, because it's the new year, the resolutions that they set, which is bogus, but let's go with it because that's the majority of people right now. They're all in this New Year's resolutions. If we attach behaviors, what is the behavior required of me to ensure that I achieve that? What are the behaviors I want to change and let go of? What are the behaviors I want to insert and implement? Why is that important? Because when we get the behaviors attached to a clear vision of the outcome, and clear, because my coach actually said this to me, hey, Tam, the changes that you're looking for are actually going to take 3 years. So I'm going to out myself. So I've actually been at the gym and I'm really quite excited. Can I say I'm excited for the second Friday of the year? Why am I excited for the second Friday of the year? Because I've been at the gym every day this year and I'm with people that weren't there all last month. They weren't there all month before. They weren't there the month before that, right? So I've been on this. I have a commitment to myself and I'm changing a behavior. And I have a number of days that I'm at the gym and I have workouts and I'm working with a coach. And why am I doing that? Because honestly, I saw in my own stamina and my own flexibility, it's really changed. Yes, that happens when you have a lifestyle that you've led of on and off again activity, or I will do spurts of activity. I used to be an avid hot yoga person 5 days a week. And then I was an avid 5 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week stand up paddleboarder. And I was an avid cyclist. And I go through these ebbs and flows, if you will, of things that I'm really committed to. But I recognize that as I've gotten older, while I've always been active and I love going on walks every day, and there's a lot of things that I love to do. And when I walk, I'm a fast walker. I'm probably considered a power walker if you've ever gone on a walk with me. But I love physical activity. I've noticed that my hips and my joints, and as I've been now north of 50, I am aging and my body is showing the results of that. So I'm changing up what I'm doing. I want to change my behaviors. And I was talking with my coach that works with me on my workout plans and my eating plan and all of these things to make the physical changes I'm working on changing for my whole health. And she said to me, you got to plan on a 3-year change process. And I'm like, what? Like, no, no, no. 3 years? Okay, wait, what would it be like? What will I be like at the end of 3 years by changing these behaviors on a consistent basis and measuring my results? Where will I be? I now have a vision of what that looks like. So I'm not locked onto the time. I'm locked onto now what are the behaviors, right? We can get stuck in how much time it takes or what the outcome is that we want to get to, and we want to get there fast, or we see other people. I'm a big one. When I'm at the gym, I see people working out and they're doing these big heavy weights. And now dude's like half my age and he's, got muscles, for days. And he's, of course, curling, 5 times what I'm curling. But you know what? I'm there. I'm proud of myself. I can celebrate and acknowledge that I'm comfortable looking in the mirror and making those reps every single day because it's changing my behavior, but it comes with the vision of where I see myself going. It doesn't keep me stuck in what I don't have yet. And I think that's why Quitter's Day, which is what I want to come back to. I want you to think about it. And as everybody is coming back into the office and after the holidays, and you're having these, okay, it's the first of the year meetings, don't get stuck in the hype of it's the first of the year. So what are we going to do? Get stuck in the hype of or the excitement of and the enthusiasm of, all right, here's our goals. What are the behaviors? Start talking about behaviors. Get people focused on the change in behavior, the change in mindset, the change in attitude, the change in the words that they say, right? How are we speaking about the goals that we're going to achieve? If I got up every morning at 5 a.m. to head to the gym and I am talking down to myself about what I don't like about it and how come I don't like it, the likelihood is I'm going to end up on that quitter's day. Now I'm not, because I'm committed and I'm changing a behavior and I'm too many days, weeks, months into this consistent pattern because I'm changing a behavior over time. And changing a behavior, I did the research on this. And you know how they say there's a old myth out there that it takes 21 days to change a habit or 28 days to change a habit. I think they even adjusted it. No, actually, it takes between 18 and 254 days, I believe is the number that I read. I'm like, and it depends on the mindset of the person, and it depends on the framework, how you've set yourself up for success. So, example, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes in more detail. You're going into a new year and y'all have just hopefully completed or in the process of, because it's the first of the year, completing annual reviews from the previous year's successes and failures and work. You're completing those. So, okay, What is it then, the behavior that you're wanting to see change so that we don't get those same results that we got last year? Positive or negative, friend? Let's not quit and be a quitter because we don't have the clarity of the behavior or the clarity of the actions required or the clarity of the vision, the goal, the outcome to shift our thinking and our mindset. You, as a leader, you in management, you get to set this framework with your team now so that you end 2024 even better than where you started it. So let's not be a quitter and give up out of frustration, or give up because, well, we're not getting the results fast enough, or give up and quit because it's just not as fun, or give up and quit because, oh, I didn't have the right vision. Your people are coming in with goals. Reframe them into what are the behavior changes you're wanting to make in order to achieve that. And I guarantee you're going to be in a different place next month and the month after when you keep reframing into the behaviors we want to change to achieve the outcomes that we say we want to achieve. Don't be a quitter. Let's not quit. Change the behavior, shift the mindset, shift the perspective, and get after it. Hey, stay tuned because we're going to be talking about what you do now that your annual review process has ended. And how do you set people up to actually achieve those goals that you've put before them in the coming year? Stay tuned. So, all right, friends, by a show of hands, how many of you lead other people? Right? How many of you in so leading have just completed or in the middle of completing before the end of this month your annual review process, going over the previous year's performance and how people have hit their targets and their goals? I bet that by the show of hands, based on what I know our listener audience is, everyone raised their hands. Or for those that didn't raise your hand, it's actually because maybe your company or organization doesn't do annual reviews, which there's a whole another episode I could do on the value of why. But here's what I want to set you up for. Completing your annual reviews is just a process. It's just part of the process of being an excellent leader, being an excellent manager of people, being an excellent leader in an organization that wants to see your people grow. But when it becomes an HR function that is simply a check the box function, that's where we fail, because we don't actually set them up most times. When I've gone into companies and I've worked with teams where I've seen that there is a negative culture or there is a complacent culture, you've got a bunch of complacent Charlies floating around the office that are just in that duck and cover mode, and they're used to doing mediocre work because we actually don't set expectations and goals, and we don't set targets, and we don't talk about the behavior changing, and we really aren't motivating people. We're just doing the grind. And HR, if you're in HR, I'm going to say part of your responsibility is to help your leaders and managers know it's not just about doing the grind. It's not just about checking the box. We want to be having a review process that is effective. And what I've seen, and I know it's going to happen, because I've been tracking this for a number of years. People are coming into the office after the holidays and they're feeling great about the holidays and the time they had away. And if you did your review with them before the holidays and you didn't give them clarity of what are the action steps to take to improve performance, what are the expectations for this year's performance, and break it down into the tangibles where you both understand it and you both understand the how we're going to get there, you're going to have a bunch of people that are going to come in probably frustrated, that are going to be feeling, they're going to actually have and be fighting potentially against that complacency, that feeling of why bother? Because I'm doing everything I'm told to do that I understand, but then I get a review and I'm not exceeding expectations. I'm not even meeting expectations. I'm just satisfactorily approaching expectations, or I've just met the bare minimum of expectations, but there's no plan of how I exceed those expectations, because a lot of organizations have it where to get your performance bonus or to get a raise, you've got to excel and exceed, not just meet. And we don't actually put a plan of action in place with our people of how they do that. And so you probably got a lot of people coming in right now that are feeling rather, why bother? Or worse than even why bother, somewhat worse than why bother, you might have people coming back into the office after your annual review time being rather irritated and annoyed because people talk. And so if they see that Joe or Sally on the other side of the cubicle wall, they hear through the conversations that they got an exceptional review. But as an individual, Charlie just got a mediocre review. But Charlie's never been told what's mediocre about his work. He's never been told, never been discussed what the actual behaviors are, what the actual performance outcomes are that are mediocre and why and how to change them. He performs that way because that's what he knows to do in the environment you've created. You want to change Charlie and get him out of being complacent and get him into being a high producer, then you got to lay out the framework with Charlie of what that looks like. So right now, friend, you might be having people coming in feeling they don't know what that path forward is. So they're going to keep doing the same status quo work, the same day in and day out work, because you haven't set the expectation any different. Just because you did an annual review doesn't mean that your team knows, that your individuals know what's expected of them and how to achieve those expectations. That's your job to frame that up and to create and craft that with them. So going into this new year, as people are coming back into the office, my challenge to you is, what are you doing to build your team so that they understand what their expectations are? You see, I love that the strength in your team. This is what Phil Jackson said about team. And you know, Phil Jackson, phenomenal basketball coach, right? The strength of the team is each individual team member. The strength of the team members is the team. So think about that for a minute. How are you strengthening and building up your team members as individuals and giving them the clarity of how they can utilize the resources of the team members around them to be strengthened and built up? You see, if they're coming in to this new year with now new targets, goals, and measures, new KPIs that they're going after for this new year based on your annual review of them, how do they know and who are the resources and what are the steps to take to achieve that? We can make assumptions that they know. And maybe you're one of those exceptional leaders that laid all that out with them. Cool. Revisit it now. If you had an annual review process that took place, let's say mid-November to the end of December before the holiday break, my invitation and my challenge for you is to revisit those conversations with every single individual that you reviewed. Hey, it's a new year. We're now back in the office. You've had some time to think through your review. Let's talk about the details of how we're going to achieve it, the new goals, how we're going to achieve the new standards and the new expectations. What are your thoughts about that? What resources are you wanting or needing from the team to be equipped so that you know you can achieve it? What does that success look like? Asking them a framework of questions now, after they've had the time to contemplate and discuss with their family and their coworkers and their friends, and they've had time to talk about it on their drive in and out of the office or their walk in and out of the office. You want to get in and see what they're thinking about it now so that you can help to adjust anything that might be off kilter. It might not be in alignment with what you're wanting or what you're seeing. You just want to revisit it. And you know, you've probably heard me say it before. I'll say it again. No employee should ever be surprised come annual review time about anything that was in the review process. Nothing ought to be a surprise. Why? Because you're having a cadence of consistent meetings with your team to let them know and to hear from them how they see themselves. Are they tracking well? How do you see them? Yeah, they're tracking well. No, we're missing the mark here. What are we going to do? And we're going to tie it back to what? The behaviors that we want to see change so that we get the results that we want. You see, your job as a leader, in management, managing others, right? Your responsibility is to equip and empower the people to do the bulk of the work so that the goals get achieved. If we're not equipping them with the clarity of the expectation, we're not equipping them with what we see as the outcome and how we're going to get there, and being a resource along with them to achieving that and finding out what they see as success and designing that with your employees, with your team members, you're failing. And that's a big thing to say, but that is a form of fail in my mind, because I get the opportunity to go in and I talk to both sides and I see where, wow, if we would have just had some simple conversations and a consistent cadence, and it doesn't mean that you have 4-hour meetings. It doesn't mean that you have all day meeting once a month, maybe, but it does mean you have your 20-minute check-ins, and it does mean you're checking in consistently, regularly, with everyone understanding the expectation of those check-ins, and you are tracking with them how they're doing. You see, if they're coming back into the office after that annual review process feeling less than, feeling broke, busted, and disgusted because they don't know how to achieve the new goals you've given them, that's where you're going to continue to foster that complacency, that mediocrity, instead of the excellence that you're really goaling toward. So my challenge for you is this, friend: get after it. Who are you not to, right? Have the meetings, have the conversations, check in to see how your team members are doing post this evaluation time. See what they need, give them that time to process it, because we all process at different rates of speed. And then help be a resource equipper, a resource builder for your team members. You will see a huge impact. Remember, just like Phil Jackson said, which I love this quote, the strength of the team is each individual team member, and the strength of the team members is the team. Think about that. And how does that apply to your level of leadership? Coming up, we're going to talk about the highest form of freedom for you, for your team members. What is that? What's it look like? And how do we get it? And what do people want when they say they want freedom? Stay tuned. All right. I want to finish out today kind of recapping for a second. We talked about Quitter's Day as the second Friday of January, and I'm really excited about it personally because I want to see my gym go back to normal and not have the ridiculous overcrowding. And ladies, would you not wear perfume to the gym, please? Like, quit doing that for Quitter's Day. I would love that, but I digress. I am looking forward to my gym going back to the normal that I like to work out in early in the mornings. But Quitter's Day is a reality. And so, how are you going to navigate that with your people in the workplace so that they don't quit on the goals that you've given them to achieve in this first quarter of the year, or in 2024? How do you change that? Change that view, right? Change that view from their chair of what success looks like. And so they don't quit, right? We also talked about kind of the strengths of your team, and that it has to do with each individual team member, right? And that the strength of the team members is the team. And we tied that great quote from Phil Jackson into what are you going to do now that you've completed your annual review process? All of that ties into what my next topic for you is today, which is the highest form of freedom is based on want and not on need. You see, we often tie things that we need to, when I get these needs met, I will have freedom. But it actually is based on the want of the need, right? The want of the achievement, the want of the item, the goal, the possession, or whatever that is, that vacation or the sales quota. There's a want that's in there that is actually what drives, and people thrive in that want because that moves them to the freedom that they're seeking. We talk a lot about, in the leadership world, we talk a lot about giving people autonomy, making sure that they have autonomy and that they can see themselves in the successful outcomes. And I absolutely believe in all of that. But the sense of freedom that today's workforce is desiring to achieve is based on their wants, that it is absolutely an intrinsic motivating factor, the want versus the need. The want is what motivates me, what captivates me, what is it that I'm wanting to achieve that fulfills a bigger picture for them. It fulfills something internal. It's an internal driver for them. And it's important, leader, that you think about that as you go into this new season of leading in this new year. When you get folks focused on what does freedom look like to you? What's the want of that? You get that undercurrent that really motivates them. And those are the pieces that start to bring out brilliance and bring out that curiosity and that creativity in your team members. See, you can't get people confident about their future until they get clear about their past. And while I'm not a super huge past dweller, I do use it as a tool to inform the decisions of the present to move me into the wants of the future. And that's what I want to reframe for you is how do you go to the even to the conversation of past experiences and how they motivate, drive, and move us into the wants of the future. But until we clean that up and get clear with, golly, I haven't succeeded because, or I haven't achieved because, and I can reframe it to that past experience. That fear of failing is based on because I had someone rip me apart in a team meeting and embarrass me. And so I'm so focused on not failing. All I keep doing is stumbling. But my framework of my thinking is messed up because of a past experience, an embarrassment or whatever. We want to change that, reframe that, and get them moving forward so that they get comfortable with, yep, that happened. And what am I going to do? And what's the behavior I'm going to change? Or what's the attitude I want to adjust? What's the reframe on the language I want to use so that I move forward? Because the highest form of freedom is the want, not the need. If I stay stuck in need, I'm staying stuck in a box. When I'm in a want focus, a choose to, get to, want to, there are no have tos. You've heard me say this before. It's a choose to, get to, want to world. And when we get focused on the wants, we get moved toward that optimal change and the optimal direction for growth that we're wanting to see and do and achieve. So think about this. The highest form of freedom, or maybe I'll say it this way. If the highest form of freedom is based on want and not need, what is it that you're wanting? And what is it that you're wanting from your people so that they can achieve those goals and performance indicators that you've set in this brand new year? Get them focused on their wants for their achievement and the why behind it. You're going to produce a much greater result. Hey, thanks so much for joining me in the Sandbox today. I've loved talking with you all about Quitter's Day, and I'm looking forward to it, as I've shared before. But how do you create a new strategy so that people in your workspace don't end up having that Quitter's Day mindset and they're focused on giving up versus on all that they can accomplish? That's my challenge for you today. And my hope is that you're leaving today's conversation with new tools, tips, and strategies to navigate your personal leadership, your team leadership, and your next bold conversation. You know, third-party affirmations go a long way in today's world economy, and I would be honored if you shared the value that you gained from spending time in the Sandbox today. Drop a comment, put a like in there, subscribe so that you get notified every time we drop new content in the Sandbox. And share it with a friend. Don't forget to share this podcast episode with one person who you believe could really benefit from the tips that we shared today in the Sandbox. And if you have any questions for me at all, I want you to drop those in the comments as well, or head on over to tammyjbond.com and send me your questions there. You can also find me all over Instagram and all over LinkedIn at Tammy J. Bond. So send me your questions so that I can be an advocate with you and for you for your future. I'm excited about that. Now, remember, friend, leadership is not something that you're born with. It's something that you grow into. I want to thank you for taking the time to grow into your next level of leadership today in the Sandbox. Make it a great day.